Hey, what's up guys? Retro Gaming Guy here. So today in this video, we're going to unbox, demo, and review this plug and play retro video game mini PC that I stumbled across on Amazon. At the time of this recording, it's priced at just under 400 bucks, which depending on what the performance is like, might be a good deal or it might be just absolutely insane. We'll have to go ahead and unbox, demo, and review this. So we'll open this up. We'll take a look at the layout and design of the mini PC. We'll fire it up. We'll jump into each of the game collections to see what is truly offered on here. And then we'll fire up some games and see what the performance is like emulating them on here. So this offers the Intel N5105 processor. That's 4 cores, 4 threads, and it has the Intel UHD graphics on board. So it's been a while since I've jumped into a mini PC with these specs, so I honestly don't remember what the performance is like on here. So we'll be going through this and seeing exactly what is offered. Now this setup is a Batocera 35 setup according to this Amazon listing, which this particular version is a little bit outdated, but honestly, it really doesn't matter if the games do perform well, but we have to find that out. Now, before we jump in here though, I will say this: if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're interested in retro gaming. And if you're a wrestling fan, I just started a brand new YouTube channel along with Marcus Buff Bagwell, former WCW wrestling superstar. Be sure to click the link up here at the top of your screen to subscribe to that channel as well. Now let's dive into this mini PC and see what it has to offer us. All right, guys, here is our mini PC box. We'll go ahead and start opening this up. So we've got our mini PC right here. I'm going to set that aside just for right now. We've got a user manual. And let's see what this offers us. So it looks like it shows us how we could go ahead and mount this on the backside of a monitor. I assume there's a mount. Oh, looks like a false bottom here. There we go. So it looks like we've got some stuff in there. We'll comb through that momentarily. I'm sure it walks through our different port options, how to set this up. Yeah, it shows us how we can go ahead and connect this to our monitor, our different display options on here. And it appears to be in a bunch of different languages as well. So looks like it has our back pretty well. We've got, what's in here? Mounting bracket, which is always good. So if you wanted to use this on the side of like a desk, we've got some screws as well. It seems to be everything in here. I'm not going to mount it today, so I'm going to slide that right back in here for safekeeping. So if you wanted to install this in like an arcade one-up cabinet, you could very easily do that. If you wanted to install this on the side of a desk, you could do that as well, backside of a monitor, etc. Inside here, I assume that we have our power supply cable. Sweet, we've got an HDMI cable, regular HDMI, and then we also have our power supply cable right here as well. So I'm going to set those aside. We'll clean this up a little bit here. And here is our mini PC. So, looks like a very nice design. Excellent ventilation on all sides of this. Intel inside, it says right up here on the top. Let's flip this to the bottom. Cooling fan right here. Good ventilation. Easily mountable with that mounting bracket as well, but definitely liking the ventilation all over the place here. We have a VGA connection on the side as well, which I think is going to be huge for using this with arcade one-ups or different arcade setups. You could easily use a VGA quite nicely. Looks like a little light strip here on the front. No port offerings on the, oh, excuse me, this must be the front. Well, no, that would be the top there, right? And you would want that facing you. So the front is just this blank panel. But if we turn it to the left, this kind of looks like it should be the front, right? Because we have our power button right here. We have 2 USB 3 ports. We have a regular USB port, so it's labeled USB 1, 2, and 3 here. Great access for bringing in a controller into the mix. That's always something that you want to think about in these cases. We also have another USB port over here. This is a regular USB-A. We have our power supply cable connection right there, so we can grab our power supply cable, simply connect it very easily just like that. Let's continue on through these ports. We have 2 HDMI ports, which I think is great. You can actually get this up and running with multiple displays. And I have a feeling because this is a mini PC, we probably have the ability to launch into Batocera or probably into Windows as well. There's probably 2 SSDs installed within here, which I'm going to look into to verify that that is in fact the case. Looks like we have a switch right up here, but it doesn't seem to move. Not as far as I can tell anyway, so I'm not really sure what the deal is there. We have an Ethernet connection, audio cable, connection right here, so you can plug in your headphones very easily. And then this would be, if you wanted to open this up, you would actually just push something into that, like a little screwdriver, and you would be able to remove the top from this. If you wanted to open this up, I believe there's screw holes likely underneath the feet here to access everything. I'm not going to open it up right now. I'm going to fire it up though. I want to see what's included on here. I want to see if it launches right into Batocera, or if we have to go in and manually change our boot order. So let's go ahead and make our connections here. I'll go ahead and plug in our power supply cable. We'll grab our HDMI, connect this over to my capture card so you guys can see exactly what I see as soon as I boot this up, and we'll tour through what pops up. All right, guys, so here we are booted up into this mini PC, and this is where we landed right off the bat, and we are currently in Batocera version 35. And if we actually go down here into system settings, we can go through here and we can actually get some information on this particular version. All we have to do is just go over to where it says information under system. I went the long way around, but you can see we're on version 35, which at the time of this recording is a little bit outdated. We're several versions past this right now. We're actually on version 39. So yeah, a little bit, we're 4 versions behind, but I don't get bent out of shape about that. We could update on here, but then we would have to go in and update BIOS folders and stuff like that. So I'm not even going to bother with that. I want to just see what we have, and I want to see how well what we have works. So currently we are highlighting the all games list. This is going to be our master list. You can see Mario down there in the bottom left corner is holding up a little sign that says 52,245 games. So that is your total count on here, 52,245. That doesn't mean that we don't have a ton of duplicates, and that's what I'm really going to be on the lookout for. So let's go in here and just see what the layout looks like. So we have a all games list on the right hand side, and as we go through here, we can see that, is it in alphabetical order? It looks like it is in alphabetical order, which is good. So we have all of our 007 titles. It looks like we've got some NDS. We've got some older games over here, Commodore 64, for example, ZX Spectrum. We have Amstrad CPC, Atari 800, and so on. So I do like the fact that it's in alphabetical order. That means that you can find stuff very easily on here. We can also hit our select button if we want to, and say we want to look up titles that start with the letter S. All we have to do is just navigate to the S, and then we'll go ahead and we'll hit our X button on our controller if you're using a PlayStation style controller, and it brings us automatically to our S titles. So it is easy to navigate. The only thing I will say, if I'm being super picky, is we have, like this one right here, we have a video preview, and we also have the cover art, we have a description, information on the bottom left corner on who developed the game, the publisher, the genre, the release date, all that good stuff. So in this case, I really like what we're seeing right here. But as you see here, some of the titles just have the same information twice. Like this one right here, it shows you the same screenshot twice. So I like a little bit more originality to it. Some of these are fine. Some of them are just, again, the same thing over and over again. So, mix it up a little bit. It would be nice to have the video previews. Depending on, how much free space is available on here, I'm okay with not having that. If we had a screenshot and then cover art, that would make sense to me. Just don't have double images like this. Again, this is me being super picky, but still, I think it's worth mentioning. Now, let's back out. We have our favorites collection next over here. This says 0 games because it hasn't been set up. You want to set this up yourself. You don't want to have to deal with what somebody else has deemed to be their favorite games. You want to put your own favorites in here just for easy access. Next collection is MAME. Inside here, we have a game count of 2,116. And if we jump in here, you can see how this is laid out. We are seeing the same information over here, the same image in here twice for most of these titles. I'm not seeing duplicates in here, which is great. 2-on-2 Open Ice Challenge, love that game. Looks like a good selection so far. I mean, we're only in the A's so far. Let's go down to, you guys know what I'm going to look for. I don't even have to say it anymore. For the regular viewers, we're going to go in here. We're going to see if we have some WrestleFest. We're going to see if we have any of the WWF games in here, and they would be down at the bottom of the list. I see Wrestle Wars in here, and we have, there we go, Wrestle War. We have WWF Superstars. We have WWF WrestleMania down here, and of course my favorite, WrestleFest, right here. So I'm only seeing these in here once. Even X-Men is just in here once, which is great. Nothing drives me crazier than having a ton of the same games. Duplicate every now and then, not a deal breaker, but definitely like the streamlined setup so far. So we'll keep it moving. We have FB Neo over here, and we're probably going to have some duplicates in here from the last collection. I'm not going to get bent out of shape about that either. But inside here we have a total of 98 games. So not a big deal if we have a few duplicates in the mix. We have Atari 2600 over here with 594 games. We have Atari 800 XE with 2,670 games. Now, I'm not really familiar with this collection at all over here. Looks like it's put together well, at least. We'll keep it moving. Atari 5200 with a total of 95 games. Atari 7800 with 65 games. We have Atari Lynx with 82 games. Jaguar with 64 games. Sufami Turbo with 1800 games even. And that's probably going to double as our Super Nintendo collection as well on here. We'll have to see. Wonder Swan, 113 games. Wonder Swan Color, 91 games. ColecoVision, 146 games over here. We have Commodore 64, 6,549 games. Now, that we're going to have multiple parts to some of these. Just worth mentioning, Amiga 500, 2,621 games. We have Amiga CD-TV, 35 games. Amiga CD32, 144 games. Scum VM, 49 games. I want to check out what this looks like in here because I already see my favorite game in this collection, and that is Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Now, this is the layout that I really like. You can see we have a cover art over here on the left-hand side. Right in the middle, we have a screenshot from the game, and then right-hand side, obviously, is our text list. So you can see as we're highlighting this that everything's different about this. We don't have the same image in here twice. It's very original. I like this. Same thing over here for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Cover art, screenshot, and then our regular information. We even have the release date, the genre, publisher, developer, etc. So definitely like this. We have Leisure Suit Larry titles in here. Looks like we have Loom in here as well, which is good. And I'm not sure if these are duplicates or if these are just, multiple parts, because I know a lot of these games had, multiple discs involved, or, for the ones that go back to the floppy disk, there were multiple floppies as well. So we'll back out of this one. We have Odyssey 2 over here with 113 games. We have Intellivision with 149 games. We have Vectrex with 46 games. Great collection over here with 3 games. There's only 3 titles in here, though. We have Descent, Duke Nukem 3D, and Jazz Jackrabbit. Now, Duke Nukem 3D, awesome title. Let's back out. We have Windows in here now. 1 game for Windows, and it's Plants vs. Zombies. Now we have Xbox, original Xbox, 1 game. Which game is it? Jet Set Radio Future. Now, this is a very good one. I'm not sure if it will work on here. We'll have to check that out and find out for ourselves. Next one, 32 games. Next one here, 298 games for TurboGrafx 16. Over here we have, 155 games for SuperGrafx, 316 games for PCFX, 50 games, Game & Watch, 59 games, NES, 1,878 games. Let's take a look at this one. And here we're going to see that we have the same image in here twice, which you can see it's just not as clean of a look, but it is what it is. Appears that we have, let's loop around. Let's actually go to our select. Let's go over to S for Super Mario. Let's go to T, and then we'll just kind of hit it backwards there. So if we go up here, be a little bit up there, but I already see it. So we have Super Mario here. We have Super Mario Brothers Hacks. We have Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, 2, 3, 6. We have the Tetris bundle here, Duck Hunt. Good stuff. I'm definitely liking this. Let's back out of the NES collection. Again, NES was 1,878 games. Next one down is Family Computer Disk System, 209 games. We've got Game Boy over here with 1,175 games. And if we take a look in here, let's see what we find. Just 1 Aladdin, that's good. 1 Alien 3. So I'm not seeing the duplicates that we typically see in these collections on these plug-and-play devices, whether it's game drives or, the whole console experience in one like this offers. So it looks pretty good in here so far. Not going to say there's no duplicates, but it does look like it is put together in a pretty good way. We have Super Nintendo over here. 761 games. That's a pretty streamlined number as well. We shouldn't have any duplicates in here, and right off the bat I could see we don't appear to at all. All right, let's keep it moving. MSU1 Media Enhancement, 13 games. Super Game Boy, 194 games. We have Super Famicom Satellaview, and that is going to give us 123 games. Virtual Boy with 33 games. Nintendo 64, 461 games. Now let's take a look at N64. Love this collection. Do we have multiple versions of the same titles in here? Sometimes we get a foreign release, sometimes we get a US release. It does not appear to be the case here. It does look like, oh, there might be a duplicate over here. Different versions technically, but I guess you could argue that it's more or less the same thing. So far though, it's looking pretty good. Not seeing blatant duplicates all over the place. We've got Cruisin' Exotica, USA, and Worlds, one version of each, and for me that's the win here. I don't need 3 versions of each title. You end up with 9 games instead of just 3. We've got Doom 64, Donkey Kong 64, and I assume we should just check for Mario Kart 64. It'll be right at the top here. Got some Madden in here. Got the Mario Parties, Mario Story, Mario Tennis, Mario Kart 64 right up there at the top. So I'm loving this. This is sweet. And golf was in there as well. Now, Game Boy Color, 1,046 games. Now, let me show you guys this. This would be typically the same games, right? This would be the same collection. And over here, that's not the case. 194 games here, and then Game Boy Color over here, 1,046 games. Now, are there crossover titles? Probably, but it's not the same number. This is one of the few setups where they did not do that. Oftentimes, I'll go into Game Boy Color, and I'll find the same list up here with Super Game Boy. So, love the fact that it's an original collection. Again, 1,046 games in here, and if we comb through these, are we going to find tons of duplicates? It doesn't appear like that is going to be the case. A lot of these other drives, you would have just seen, 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 for every single title in here, and then you would have to take your game count and divide it in half, so you'd be at like 520 and change. That's not the case here. I love it. N64 disk drive, 6 games. What do we have in here? No duplicates. Love this. All right. GameCube, 232 GameCube games on here. Now, this is something I want to check out. We start with 1080 Avalanche over here, which is a great game. In fact, I just added this to my Bottasera drive literally about an hour ago. So we got some good titles, some Call of Duty. We've got some Burnout in here. Some FIFA titles. Frogger Adventure. We've got GoldenEye, Rogue Agent. Killer 7. And for GameCube, you have some dual disc games. So if we see the occasional duplicate, I can't say that. I don't remember like if Rising Sun is a 2-disc game. I don't believe that it is. So we may have some duplicates in here, and I could be wrong. It could in fact be a could in fact be exactly that. Now this, I didn't even know that they had a Hydro Thunder for GameCube. Now this is bundled together with some other titles, but it is without question Hydro Thunder. That right there is Rush. So pretty cool. That's what I love about emulation. Sometimes you find stuff that you never even knew existed. So we've got some Need for Speed Most Wanted in here, Need for Speed Underground. Got some NHL games in here to say the least. NFL Blitz 2002 and 2003. So 2002, 2003. Love both of those, actually. I think that they are grossly underrated for Blitz titles. What else? Do we have any wrestling games on here? Because I think most of you guys know I love wrestling games. So let's see what they have. All right, there we go. We've got Day of Reckoning 1 and 2. We've got WrestleMania 18. So we definitely have some wrestling games here. We don't have all of them, but we do have some. You also see UFC Throwdown up there, so definitely want to come back and see how everything performs. Now for Game Boy Advance, 2,782 games. Now that is much too high. Okay, they've got the 2-in-1 games in here. And I'm not crazy about these because you oftentimes will have, like, let's highlight this one right here. We've got a SpongeBob game and a Fairly Odd Parents game together. Now, 2-in-1 is great, but oftentimes there's multiple versions. So you might get like a SpongeBob along with something else. So technically there are duplicates because you have the standalone games, the Odd Parents one as well as the SpongeBob one separately in here as well. So yeah, it pads the numbers a little bit, but I'm really not worked up about it because so far that's the first time I can say that they are padding numbers. Now for Pokemon Mini, we have 43 games. Nintendo DS, we have, holy moly, 3,833 games. Now let's go in here. Do we have duplicates in here? I have to lean towards probably in this case because it's just a wildly crazy number on here, but I've been wrong before. I could be wrong right now. So far, I'm not really seeing duplicates, but also a lot of these titles are not easy to read thus far. So, I don't know. It seems like a lot of original games. It's just a lot of games that I would never play, and I'm not a big DS guy anyways, but for the right person, I mean, you've got a lot to offer there. Now, Nintendo Wii. I love Nintendo Wii. Big fan of this, especially with emulation, because you can have the exact same experience that you would have on an original Wii. Through emulation, you can in fact even use the same accessories. So 20 games. What games are included? We've got some London 2012 Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. We've got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games again over here. But this isn't the 2012 one, right? Yeah, okay, cool. Mario Kart Wii. We've got Mario Party 8 and 9, Mario Power Tennis, which is a great game, so I definitely want to come back here and check that out. 3DS from Nintendo, 465 games, and same deal here. I'm not seeing duplicates, which it's still early, but we are winding pretty far into this at this point, and everything's looking really good. Over here, 138 games. Over here, 9 games. Mr. Boom, just 1 game. We've got Open Bore, Beats of Rage. I love this. 281 games. We've got Prince of Persia Custom Collection over here. We've got Pie Game, which is like a trivia sort of game. A Thomas Wave with 26 games. Sega SG 1000 with 99 games. Sega Master System with 442 games. Genesis with 1,207 games in here. And let's jump in here and take a look at the Sonic titles. So we're going to go over here to our jump to. We are going to go into, let's go into T and work our way up. So I saw we have some T2 Judgment Day over there. And I'm not sure, I was looking for Sonic. I was about to say, I don't forget what I was looking for here, but it came back to me. So Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So different bundles here, but it's essentially 2 games in one, and you probably have some of, if not all of, the original games by themselves. So, that's kind of a way to, have a lot at your fingertips here. We'll back up. We have Sega Game Gear with 406 games. Sega CD, 171 games. Let's take a look in here. And everything is still looking very good. We've got Corpse Killer in here twice. I forget. 32X and CD. Okay, that makes sense to have multiple versions then. Sega Saturn. Wow, 987 Sega Saturn games. This might be one of the few setups where it is really heavy on Sega Saturn offerings. And I wasn't a big Saturn guy myself. There's some great titles like the Die Hard Arcade, for example. I love that game. Let's see if that's actually in here. Let me jump to D over here. And we'll see if it's included on here or not. There we go. We do have it. We have Die Hard Arcade and Die Hard Trilogy, one of each. So we aren't being overindulged in duplicates by any means. We have Genesis 32X. 37 games total here. Dreamcast, 298 games. Now, I'm a big Dreamcast guy myself, So let's see, what do we have in here? We've got some Royal Rumble, some Attitude. We've got Virtual Tennis 1 and 2 over here. Oh, excuse me, just 1. We have Virtua Striker 2 over here. Virtua Cop. Lots of good stuff here. We've got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Probably one of, if not my favorite PlayStation and Dreamcast game. Sega Naomi with 54 games over here. We've got Sharp 68,000 with 847 games. Sinclair ZX81, 817 games. ZX Spectrum, 6,161 games. We've got Neo Geo over here, 151. Neo Geo CD System, 103. Neo Geo Pocket, 82. Neo Geo Pocket Color, 89. PlayStation, 1,540 games over here. Okay. And I'm seeing duplicates, but I don't know if these are dual disc games. I'm not familiar with that title enough. For Actua Hockey, I can see that we have the original and the sequel as well here. So definitely pretty sweet here, if I'm being totally honest. Let's back out. We've got PSP, PSP's next. PlayStation 2, 125 games on here. And it looks like the majority of the titles here are put in here just once. So I definitely love that. Got some racing games in here. Love PS2 emulation. Of course, I'm not familiar with the mini PC itself, so we're going to have to test a lot of these titles out. We got some Legends of Wrestling here. Love that very much. Let's back out. We've got PSP now with 726 games. And it's looking like a lot of... minis games in here. But there are some regular PSP titles mixed in as well. And with 726 games, I mean, man, we should definitely have a lot of offerings here. And we also have our second to last collection is PS3, only one title, and it's Rayman Origins. Great title. We'll launch that and see if it works on here. Again, I'm not sure of these specs and what the true capabilities are just yet, but we are going to find out momentarily. And our final collection is Supervision over here with 66 games. So you guys got to see now for the last few minutes exactly what is offered in here, what games are in the collections in some cases, but you got to see the count and the collections. So now let's dive into some games and see where the performance lies in this mini piece.
Overtime. Shooting from the spot. He scores! Mark Messier. Here's the draw. He shoots and a save. Wham! An impossible shot and a
Yeah! Yeah! Yo! Yeah! Tight! Yo! Sweet! 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 Emilio is in the house. You better watch what you're doing.
All right, guys, so we unboxed, demoed, and reviewed this loaded mini PC that has over 52,000 retro video games, plug and play, ready to go on here. And let's first talk about the mini PC here. I actually like the layout and design of this. I think it's really cool and unique that we have the VGA port on the side. We also have dual HDMI ports on the back here, Ethernet, of course, a USB-A connection on the back, but we also have, let's see, 3 USB ports on the side panel as well, right next to the power button. I thought it's a little strange that the power button's on the side, not at the bottom down here or on top, but it actually works very nicely. Easy access to everything that you're going to need, so you can plug in controllers. And because there's 4 USB-A ports on here, we can have 4 wired controllers or wireless controllers that use the USB dongle on here. So very convenient to use. That's something that I'm really always on the lookout for. You got to make sure as a gamer, if you're using a mini PC for gaming, that you have the necessary ports to have a good experience with everything. And we have exactly that on here. Now let's talk about performance. When I just glanced at the specs, I really wasn't sure that it was going to have enough to it to actually get through everything that's offered on here. And I really didn't know what to expect when diving into this setup today. I didn't think that it was going to have PS2. I didn't think it was going to have PS3. I didn't think it was going to have original Xbox. And it has all those things. Not a ton of games for all of those, but what it does have, it's able to effectively emulate. I really had no performance issues on any of the games that I tested out today in this video, and I actually tested out a lot more games than what I'm showing you guys here in this video, just in an effort to keep things short and sweet. But really a great selection of GameCube titles, N64 titles, PS2, Xbox, and so on. Everything performs great on here. There's no audio issues. There's no lags or delays. I'm not going to say that there's not a little occasional hiccup in the gameplay experience, but all in all, it does an excellent job of emulating what is provided here. It's not one of those issues where a lot of times we see these plug and play game drives or plug and play consoles that have tons of games on there, but you can't effectively emulate half of them because the specs just aren't up to par. And that's not the case here. Now let's talk about the plug and play setup on here and the collections that are offered. Now, typically when you see 52,000 games, for me anyways, because I review stuff like this on a regular basis, typically that means that the true game count is somewhere between 15 and 20,000, and it's just littered with duplicates. And I am thrilled to report back to you guys that that is not the case here. There are very minimal duplicates. I won't say that there's no duplicates. You will find some here and there. A lot of the titles are like a part 1, part 2 sort of setup, but there are duplicates every now and then, but they are very minimal. This is the most minimal with duplicates out of anything that I have reviewed, plug and play, ready to go. So I think that that just is a clear indication that whoever put this together took into consideration the fact that the majority of us don't want to see the same titles in here 2 or 3 times over in each of the game collections. They aren't padding the numbers for marketing purposes here, and what they are providing you with actually works and functions correctly. So it's not a frustrating experience. It's very easy to navigate everything as well. Everything's in alphabetical order. For the most part, there's a consistent layout and design to things where you have box art, you have a screenshot. Sometimes, like I pointed out in this, in the tour portion of this video, you will have the same screenshot or the same box art twice in a row side by side, which isn't super visually appealing, but it's a minimal issue at the end of the day. So guys, for 400 bucks here, or slightly under 400 bucks at the time of this recording, you do get a pretty sweet plug and play setup here that performs very well. It is reliable, and you have a mini PC that offers everything that you need externally in terms of layouts and designs here. You have great port offering. It stays nice and cool. And here's an amazing feature on here. You can boot this up into Windows 11 and use this as a regular PC as well. It's set up to automatically boot directly into Batocera 35 today, which, as I mentioned before, is a little bit outdated. But if the games perform well, and they do, that's really all that matters to me in the end. But you can boot this up into Windows 11, use this as an office PC. You can watch YouTube on here. You can do pretty much whatever you want on here as a regular PC, and then just switch the boot order back to Batocera, and you are able to dive right back into your retro video game emulation. So this has the best of both worlds here. I think this is definitely one of the best plug and play options out there. Now, in terms of price point, this is not one of the cheapest options out there. This has, a hefty price tag associated with it. Is it worth it? I think for convenience, it definitely is worth it to the right person. For me, I know how to set up my own game drives. I know how to set up mini PCs. I've been doing this for a very long time. Emulation is not new to me by any means. So, I could put something together for a fraction of the cost, in all honesty, but it's going to take a lot of time to do that, especially if you're coming in here and you're doing it from scratch. If you're looking for ROMs out there, they're becoming harder and harder to find. So I get time is money for a lot of people. A lot of people are willing to pay a premium price point to just have something plug and play ready to go. And for those people, this is a solid option. It delivers performance, convenience, and reliability at a price tag of just around $400. So, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely for some people out there. Weigh out the pros and cons. If you're looking for convenience and you're looking to just dive into your favorite games easy and effortlessly, then definitely take a look at this product. I'll provide you guys with a link up here at the top of your screen. Check it out, but let me know what you guys think of this plug and play setup with over 52,000 games using Batocera 35 on this mini PC. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys know the deal though. If you enjoyed the video today and you appreciate this review, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube as I try to further grow this channel. And of course, hit subscribe if you have not already to the Retro Gaming Guide to stay in the loop for all future videos and reviews that I do right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.